Pretty much. No.
When people go on about the lake, and I always say, well, I know more about the other end of Pickmere. People don't know about that here.
Right, okay, I'm going to start the meeting. So, thank you very much for everybody for attending tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some points before we start so that you're all aware exactly what's going on and what can and can't be done. And that way it makes it clear. So, first of all, I'm going to explain the context and rules for the meeting. Okay, it's not a public meeting in the normal sense of the word. It is a parish meeting. It's convened specifically under the terms of the Local Government Act of 1972. As such, certain rules apply. The Act envisages that those who attend a parish meeting will be parishioners, i.e. members of the parish of Pickmere. Whilst there may be some non-residents of Pickmere present at the meeting, they have no right to partake in it, and thus priority will be given to parishioners, electors of Pickmere who wish to speak over any persons who are... They will be given priority over any persons who are from outside the parish. If there is a vote taken at the meeting, then it is only electors on the electoral roll of Pickmere Parish who are eligible to cast a vote. There is no provision in the Act for non-residents to take part in any vote at this meeting. The chair of the meeting shall have the casting vote if there is an equality of votes, in addition to any other vote they may have. If, as seems likely, there is a proposal put forward demanding a parish poll, then the precise wording of the question that would be put to such a poll must be agreed at this meeting. Minutes of the meeting will be taken. These will not attempt to constitute a verbatim record of the discussion, but a summary of the discussion and a record of any decisions made. They will be sent through to the parish meeting and, the council, parish council, and noted. Right, so, just to let you know why I'm sitting here, as the chair of the parish council, as I'm attending, it's my duty to chair the meeting. That's part of the rules that set that. Someone pass Peter's. If you were in my class. Right, there's going to be 25 minutes allotted for residents to speak. Each resident will be given a maximum of 2 minutes. If there are a lot to speak, then we will speed it up, but I will be timing it, and I will ask you to stop talking at the end of that 2 minutes so that everybody can have their say. At the end of the meeting, residents will be asked to decide whether they wish a poll to go ahead or not. The outcome of that will be decided by a vote. If there are less than 10 people in favour of the poll, there will be no poll. If there are 10 votes in favour, a poll will take place. Should the vote be in favour of a poll, the clerk will check that those voters are registered residents, which we have already done by the way we've brought you in. But we will still check to make sure, because if someone does vote, if we count someone's vote and it isn't, then it's null and void. Then we will make a request for a question to go forward. That will be given to the clerk, who will contact the electoral register of CEC to start the process towards having a poll, using the words created by this meeting. The registrar will then set up a poll. However, if the registrar decides that the question or poll is not appropriate, it will be dismissed. Pickmere Parish Council are going to have to pay for the poll out of its preset money. And this will be between £1,500 and £2,500 out of the preset. The result of the poll is no way binding, and the parish council can choose to ignore, note, or follow recommendations of the poll. So they're the facts that they are. Now, just as an aside, what I would ask, it doesn't matter what the opinion of somebody, what their views are, I would ask everybody to respect that and to give them the time to say their piece. If you ask us a question, we won't be answering it. It's a simple statement of facts tonight and statement of principles, statement of ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the timer. As I said, I'm going to be timing people. You'll have 2 minutes, and then I'm going to ask for people to make their statements. We've got 25 minutes to do that, to make these statements. Are you okay? Can you just keep an eye on people so we don't Right, so. Basically, who would like to speak? If you'd like to put your hand up. Right. Thank you.
I do not want the fence. I do not want the fence because I find it morally wrong. We live in a world of disappearing open spaces, and to fence off a beauty spot, some people seem to forget we live in a beauty spot where we will have visitors. And to stop those people who are less fortunate than those living here would be morally wrong. That's all I want to say.
Chair, can I possibly ask? No, you can't, sorry. You're not part of this, you're not part of the parish, you're not allowed to ask questions. I think I made it clear at the start. No, sorry, please follow the meeting rules. Thank you. Right, could I ask another parishioner if they'd like to say something?
Yeah.
Go on, thank you.
Do you want to go?
No, you go on, I'll come on to you in a second.
My name's Natasha, for anyone who doesn't know. I'm against the fence. I would like to know at what point the parishioners were made aware that the parish council wished to breach the planning permission of allowing access in daylight hours to the IROS. No stage before the decision was made was I told that you would be breaching the planning permission, and I wasn't made aware of anything to do with it until much later. So that's one point. The other point, briefly, I'm not good at public speaking, so excuse me. The other point is that the parish council keeps mentioning that they're not a political body and that it's private land. They are part of the government. It's a section of the government under the Local Government Act. Clearly they are a political body, and secondly, clearly it is not private land. It is government owned land if it's owned by a government body. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, yes.
I was going to say something.
Yes.
So my name's Sue Fox. I live at the far end of Pickmere. I've been one of the active protesters on the gate, and I thank people for their support in that. But my main reason for being on the gate is the fact that I think if the parish council go ahead with the fence, then Cheshire East are going to turn around and say, well, they've solved the problem for us and we don't need to do anything more. And I think it's really up to Cheshire East to find the money and to do what we vote them in for and pay our taxes for, to sort out the parking and to sort out people to come and give out the tickets for the parking, etc. I don't believe that erecting a fence is going to stop 150 people parking their cars down Clover Drive and Frog Lane. And that's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask who else would like to say something? Go on, thank you, Andrew.
I've been a resident of Pickmere for 60 years now, and we've always had a problem. It's been exacerbated by COVID and also by social media, and the parking that was available 50 or 60 years ago is no longer available because we've got housing. Is there any way we can persuade a landowner to give us some land and perhaps pay them to insure it and to look after it so they're not inconvenienced by the use of that land? We do need somewhere to park. There is someone, I believe, on Earls Lane who is quite happy to start parking down there. And have we looked at that? I believe there was a lady in Pickmere, but I think she's withdrawn that. She's leaving. Who was thinking about it. I don't like to see this division in the village. It's not the Pickmere I know, and we must work together this. I don't like the idea of the fence. It's like a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and it'll spoil my enjoyment going down there when I go with the dogs 2 or 3 times a week at least. So I'm very much against the fence, and I think we ought to work together to find some solution and not be at each other's heads, because it's horrible to see it.
Thank you.
I'm Jean, I live on Clover Drive. There's no lot of people in here. I'm against the fence. It's a beautiful open space. Fencing it just breaks my heart, the thought of having a fence around it. We've already seen the effect of having a fence up. It does spoil it where the jetty is. I appreciate that's private land, the farmer can do what he wants. It doesn't stop people coming and using the land. What I would prefer to do, similar to this lady here, we need to work together to find a solution. I don't think the solution is to deter the visitors. I think we need to accommodate them and plan to accommodate them. Can we have some portaloos, because there's some rubbish I really don't like picking up. And any beauty spot is going to attract people and attract the rubbish. I'm more than happy to go and pick rubbish up. I take my kids with me and educate them that this is not the way you treat a beautiful place. So yeah, I agree. We need to work together to find solutions, and I think we can do that. The parking, yeah, it's an absolute nightmare on Clover Drive, but as a very short-term solution, you get up in the morning and it's sunny, park outside your house. Parking solution, because you can't park on Clover Drive because it's already full. But anyway, or bollard, I don't know, bollards at the top or something. Anyway, thank you.
Right, next person. Who else? I saw a few more hands. Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ingolf, also live on Clover Drive. I'm also against the fence, very much for similar reasons. My motto has been public land for the people, for the public. But what I wanted to say tonight really is, if we must have a poll, then I will support it, but I have already given the parish council the evidence that we can foretell the outcome of a poll, because I've been round collecting signatures. It was in effect a randomized sample, because all I went was go from door to door. I didn't have any preconception of who I knew, who was for or against or anything like that. And that was so in effect that was a randomized sample of about 10 to 20% of the population of Pickmere, and that tells you that the majority of residents are against the fence. So if you want to save some money, the parish council should really take that step back from any decision about the fence, and just stop with the fence and get on with other solutions.
Okay, thank you. Have we got some of them? Yes, please.
Just Leanne Riley, Clover Drive. Just in addition to all the other comments, I'm against the fence. And I think for me, it's actually taken into account. It's a beauty spot. We have wildlife there. That putting that up as a barrier, we're disturbing their ecosystem. It's for the environment. We should just leave it as is, as nature intended. Yeah.
My name's Mark. I live on Jacob's Way, backing onto the lake. I think doing nothing is not the answer. Something needs to be done. But I think the fence, I'm against the fence. I think, even though it does no harm to me, I'm against it. I think spending £8,500 thereabouts on a fence which may be apparently temporary. It's just a waste of money. It might solve short term. But I think what will happen definitely, 100%, the problem will go further around the lake towards Wincham, where Earls Lane is. I know they're having yellow lines put on there, but the problem will go to there. The litter on that field is terrible in the past. It's going to get worse. People are still going to come to the lake. They may even climb the fence. I think the answer is you've got 10,000 signatures, people, most of them outside the Pickmere Parish probably, saying that they do not want the fence. You've got 1,000 people who are saying this social media save the lake. Why don't we use this opportunity to use them to help us, and they'll go litter picking. They'll say they'll become marshals. They stand at the top of Mere Lane, stand at the top of Clover Drive. On busy days, are you coming to the lake? You know, it's full down there, you can't park down there. Let's use this opportunity for people who are willing to save the lake and don't want the fence to help us. That's what I think we should do. But doing nothing is not an answer. Something's got to be done, but you can't. I think the fence is the wrong answer.
Thank you. See, hasn't come to the side.
My name's Phil Gofford, lived in the village at a good time. I'd just like to say, although I'm against the fence, I understand why the parish council are wanting to do it. But I'm also against cones and double lines. If I'd have wanted that, I would have stayed in the city. And Pickmere's never been like that, really. So, in essence, I think we need to plan. Short term, I think the fence is the only answer. Long term, I think we need to plan for some arrangement of parking, if necessary, on council land, that we have monitored, and also toilet facilities which are automatic if necessary. I'm sure we could pay for something that would be there permanently and that would do the job. Because as the gentleman on the back said there, it's not just a Pickmere facility, it's for the area, and it has been for years, and that's not going to change. People are still going to come. But I'm certainly not keen on double lines, cones and fences from choice.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Helen from Buttercup Way. I'm against the fence. We live in a stunning area, and just to have it fenced off just for the privilege of a few people absolutely breaks my heart too. If I agree with what Sue said, if we try and resolve this all on our own and we don't get Cheshire East involved, then they will just wipe their hands and they really won't be bothered with what happens. I don't know what the solution is, but the suggestion maybe with the media to actually, of all these people who are saying they want to save our lake and not have it fenced off, maybe an option. Or another option is like somebody I read somewhere was willing to allow their land to be used for car parking, and we can maybe get some people to park there, and the facilities obviously aren't adequate for the amount of visitors coming.
Thank you. Anyone else? We've got anyone else who'd like to speak?
Yeah, Dino from Crofters Close.
Thank you.
I'm against putting the fence up. I think one of the key issues here that parking is free. People can come to Pickmere literally for nothing, whereas many other beauty areas you've got to pay. They have pay display or residents parking. And I think if we can approach it that way, whether it's farmer's field or otherwise, maybe that goes some way to managing the problem.
Have we got anyone else who'd like to say anything?
Anybody for the fence?
Yep, go on.
Steve Wilkinson. My point is on the parish poll. I think we need to consider long and hard before we push for a parish poll at a cost of £1,500 to £2,500. We'll be throwing good money after bad, in my mind, to do that. I think that money will be better spent to try and help Cheshire East deliver a parking survey, which they say they have to do, and they haven't got money to do. Therefore, the parish council might be better to consider spending our precept money on helping Cheshire East deliver their parking surveys so that the parking issues can hopefully get resolved in that way. The only way I would support the parish poll is if the parish council, and I know they won't be prepared to do this tonight, but if they would take this away, that they would abide by the decision of that poll, whatever the outcome, then I would be in favour of the poll. But other than that, I'm against the poll.
Anyone else? Thank you. Sorry, could I just ask a favour? If you sort of tuck down the back, can you make sure you stick your hand up a bit higher? I'm missing a few people. Thank you. Sorry.
I've been here for about 14 years. I live on Mere Lane. I am not in favour of doing nothing. I was probably leaning towards being in favour of the fence, but that's because we live in an area where this summer we've had to break up fights, antisocial behaviour. We've had people parking across our driveways and we can't get out. And we've got young kids who have been threatened. They've seen drug dealing outside our properties. So for me, the worst we can do is nothing. You know, I think you hear quite a lot of different views today, and clearly there are going to be some people who are going to be unhappy with whatever decision is reached. So I don't think there's a perfect answer, but I think part of my frustration is, you know, there was a process that was gone through to arrive at this point. I know because I went to quite a few of the meetings, and there was nothing like the turnout we've seen here today. And I think we could have arrived, or we could have stopped a lot of this unnecessariness by the people who are here today coming early in the process and having their input there. So it just seems a bit of a shame that we've had to have this toxic aspect around the village, which for me is driven by social media and the various Facebook groups that is having, you know, a real pungent impact on it. So I just think it's, you know, it's going to be a troubling few times ahead. And I think we've seen it increasingly becoming a problem over the last few years with the pandemic. But with the cost of living crisis, it's going to get worse, I think, this year. So if nothing can be done before the start of May, when silly season starts, I would be in favour of the fence rather than nothing else.
Yes, please.
Peter Jackson on the Archers. I 100% agree with this gentleman. I don't think anybody in the village particularly wants a fence, and it's not a do you want it or don't you want it. The thing to me is, what do we do when the village is gridlocked and you need an ambulance, a fire engine into places that you can't get to? So the fence was a solution to try and deter people coming in the first place, and it's got completely out of hand now, the fors and against, and the safety aspect is my biggest concern for the residents that are affected by it. Thank you.
Sorry. There was a hand somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nick Greenwood. I live on Clover Drive. I'm against the idea of fencing off the land and access to the lake. I do understand that something needs to change, but I think to get rid of that access for everyone, whether they be locals or visitors, is too much for the problem we've had. I live at the bottom end of Clover Drive by the caravan park. I think this year there were 2 days it was a bit difficult to get in and out. The parking on Clover Drive is awful, but actually you can drive in and out of Clover Drive as long as people don't park on the two 90-degree bends. Actually, do you know, yellow lines on those bends and the driveways that exist allow people to pull over and let people past. It's not great, but it's passable. You can get in and out. You can get ambulances and things in and out. I went to one of the meetings about this that was at the Red Lion. There was little or no mention of a fence there. I think one person mentioned it amongst 40 people who spoke at that meeting. I think there was then a further meeting at the farm club where suddenly everyone wanted a fence, is the way I understand it from meetings I went to after that. I don't think this is a decision that's been come to involving
any significant number of residents of the village, and I think that's a process that should have been followed.
Yeah.
I think we pay our council tax, money from that goes to the parish council. I think somebody in America had a phrase of no taxation without representation. I think the precept money is spent on our behalf. I think the views of the parish should be taken into account.
Thank you. That's your 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Did you have your hand up?
I did.
Sorry, you're tucked behind something.
Emma actually, wasn't it? There was 2 things. One was with the fence going up, what's the plan for the defibrillator? Because the access to that won't be 24 hours, which it would need to be for it to be useful. And the other thing was about a voice for the teenagers, because a lot of teenagers use the lake sensibly. They use it for their mental health, they use it for fitness. It was a lifesaver in lockdown to be able to swim, paddleboard, walk, run around that lake. The teenagers have picked up litter. There are good teenagers in the village. Fencing them off to all that from a mental health and a physical point of view seems to be not even discussed in it.
Right, we've got about 2 minutes left, so is there anybody else who wants to say something? Yeah.
I'd like to say, please. So sorry, my name's Kate, I live on Frog Lane. I'm an organisational consultant. I work with the UK Centre of Human Behaviours. We are, as humans, products of our context. We're post-pandemic, we're in a war, we've got the war. So here we have a split, for and against. But there's something really special happening in this room. There's a call for collaboration, there's a call for creation, there's a call for lots of things here that are really special. So I think we should capitalise on that in this room, do some creativity sessions, think differently about the solutions that are here, what the problems are here, what the split here, what that represents in terms of the village, and do something which is really positive for the village rather than for and against, and recreating the war that is out there in this village.
So you might know I'm against the fence. I think for me there are a number of issues. I think the social media has been very polarising this week, and it's not just about the birds and the water. It's about the hedgehogs, the foxes, all the animals that you'll be cutting off from their normal routine. So I think generally we need to be a little bit careful about how we speak, be more factual, and I think that goes for both sides, both the campaigners, people for the fence, and the parish council. I think messaging is really, really important. I don't want to spend any money on a pole, but it's cheaper to have a pole than to build a fence. And as there's no contract for the fence, we're not committed to paying for the fence. So I take the cost argument, but I think we should have stopped spending the money a long time ago and sat down with Cheshire East and sorted out. After being on the radio show, I did get contacted the same day by Cheshire East Council asking if I would like to talk to them.
Wow. Brilliant. Wow.
So I recommend the Parish Council go on Northwich Radio, and maybe the Cheshire East Council will respond quicker then.
Right, that's time's up then. So